record and for meeting minutes as to who spoke, so we can recognize them in those meeting minutes. And so if you can, please make sure, and we'll try to remind speakers as they are called upon to just state your first and last name before you start speaking. That would be really great and help with the record. And then two other items we wanted to just go over was one, regarding public speakers and oral communications. So typically what happens in public meetings is during the oral communication time, it allows members of the public to comment on any items that are not on the agenda. However, that opportunity doesn't really allow for a lot of discussion because it's not actually agendized. So the committee is not actually supposed to be discussing that item. That item on an agenda is for the public to make communication with the committee, but it's not for a back and forth discussion. If the committee does feel it's something that they would like to discuss, then it actually needs to be, the committee needs to request that it be agendized at a future meeting so you can have a full discussion and not get into any public meeting violation issues. So during oral communication, as members are called upon to speak, you can speak, you can pose questions to the committee, and if there's a clarification that the committee, any committee member would like, certainly feel free to ask. But we need to try to eliminate back and forth discussion on topics. And again, the committee members, if you feel that that is something that you would like to take up as a discussion item and have a conversation, back and forth with the members of the public, it really needs to be agendized at a future meeting date. And it can be the next, agenda meeting. And then the other item is just in terms of speaker time limits. So typically, checking around other advisory committee meetings and other public meetings that are held through the county, the speakers we want to make sure everybody has a chance to speak. And so we do have a standard limitation of about 3 minutes per speaker, and allow everybody to speak once. And then if a speaker has additional comments, the chair can recognize them if there's time, but just to make it efficient, and again, to allow everybody a fair chance to be heard and have fair time to speak. We wanted to implement limiting the time to 3 minutes, and typically the secretary or whoever, someone in the meeting has a timer that actually runs. I think staff can go ahead and do that on our side and just kind of give a flag, when the time is coming up. And it's not that there's, we're gonna anyone should be cut off, but it's just to kind of help people know when they should start kind of wrapping up their thoughts, so that we can make sure that, it's just efficient in terms of letting everybody get a chance to speak that would like to speak. And during the committee member updates and questions, that's next on the agenda after oral communications. And again, that's also an opportunity for committee members, if you heard something during oral communications that you would like to provide a comment on, or request that it be that particular topic be agendized to a future meeting date, that would also be a good opportunity to be able to do so at that time as well. So those were kind of the three things we wanted to try to implement tonight and moving forward. And again, just making sure to speakers state their full name, and then as you're recognized to speak by the chair for members of the public, we'll kind of keep track of timing and just kind of get a little courtesy flag as to when you're getting close to the 3 minutes, so that you can kind of think about starting to wrap things up. And we'll make sure that everybody gets a chance and a fair amount of time to speak. And then if others, wish to speak again, the chair can choose to recognize them to speak after everyone has had at least one opportunity to speak. And then just to, again, limit the back and forth discussion during oral communications, and making sure that if there is discussion that the committee would like to have, let's just make sure and agendize it at a future meeting so it can be properly discussed without getting into any Brown Act or meeting violations. So if there's any questions, feel free to let me know, or if, John, you have anything to add, feel free.
Yeah, that all makes sense to me. I think that just looking back at last month's meeting and how we had a speaker from the county who had made himself available with expertise, how we weren't really able to give him very much time. I think that kind of reminding ourselves of these procedures is a good idea.
I have a question, Chair. Where would we find these procedures written up? Would it be in our hard copy of the information that we received when we first came on the committee, or is there somewhere else that we would see the write-up of this?
I think some of it is in the bylaws that would have been received at probably when you first became, and we could also, as a future agenda may permit, because I know it's probably been a while for some of you since you received those initial bylaws, and for newer members as well, we can, if the committee desires, we can take an opportunity to kind of go through those bylaws. We are actually, we'll be bringing those bylaws to you soon to make some amendments to them that had been requested by the Ag Advisory Committee in the past. And with some of the other efforts that the committee has been, working on, such as the Ag Tourism Guidelines kind of down and over, we want to start bringing some other stuff back to you guys, and that's one of them as well. We can also pull something, a little quick cheat sheet type of thing together if it's helpful for the committee members to have, just with regards to kind of the standard agenda items. And we can also, I think, make some clarifications on the agenda, on the agendas themselves in terms of time limits and so forth, like we do on, and like other advisory committees do on their agendas that are distributed to the public. So it's just very clear to everybody.
There's also the San Mateo County Boards and Commissions Handbook.
Yeah.
And a lot of what she's talking about with agendas is to do with the Brown Act, which is law.
The Boards and Commissions agenda, or the Boards and Commissions document is in the, that new member binder as well. And I don't know if there's a copy. I don't think we've had copies of the Brown Act in there before, but we can certainly provide copies as well for that you can add to your binders.
And periodically they do a training too for boards and commissions. And I think they said that there was going to be a training recorded, or I don't know if you've heard that.
I think they did a Brown Act training, I want to say last year. I don't know if it's going to be annually. I can check with their Boards and Commissions office and see if one is coming up as well, or if there's a recording that we can get.
Thank you.
And in reference to the bylaws that we would be reviewing, is that something that the committee would have input on, or is that something that the county is more like presenting to us?
I would say it's both. We're taking a stab at just kind of clarifications and things, just cleaning it up a little, and we'll bring that to you, and we'll show, you know, the changes that we're making, so you can see what the, you know, compare existing to what the proposed changes are. And then that would be an opportunity as well for to hear feedback, and if there's any other, you know, changes that you would like to see made, then we can take those that feedback at that time, incorporated it in. And most of the changes that we're making are kind of just clarifications, things that are, you know, procedures, terminology that's very outdated. You know, I think you know, there's a section that says you need to notice people by telegram, you know, things that are kind of just outdated. And so most of the changes that we're proposing would just require approval by the Ag Advisory Committee. So you will need to approve it. It doesn't have to go, at the moment, the changes we're making don't have to go through the Board of Supervisors. It's just through the Ag Advisory Committee. So, but if there's, you know, we'll see what additional changes might be desired, and if it needs to go through a further process from there, then we'll do so.
Okay, thank you. Item number 4, committee nomination for AAC secretary. We all are feeling the absence of Lauren, I suppose, so we're aware of the fact that we don't have a secretary. And I don't know if it'd be great if somebody was interested in it, but
Just have a comment. Before Lauren was here, it was always done by the county.
good sanitary. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I wonder, with the meeting being recorded, although today maybe we had a little trouble with that, and it being made public in other forms, I guess my question is that that secretary position absolutely necessary?
The primary functions of it is correct. My understanding is that as well. Prior to Lauren Silverman, the county was taking meeting minutes, and my understanding, though, was that it was the committee's desire to remove the county from doing those meeting minutes. That the committee wanted a little more control, or not control, but management over the meeting minutes. And so the secretary took that over, which was Lauren Silverman. The other thing besides the meeting minutes that the secretary is responsible for is any sort of letters, you know, that the committee wants to write and send to the county, formal communications to the county staff or to the Board of Supervisors. It would typically fall to the secretary to do that. With the meetings being recorded and on Zoom, we do post those onto the county's YouTube site. And so Lauren and I had talked about previously that the meeting minutes can be a lot more brief than what they have been in the past. And it could simply, minimally just needs to be a record of the votes, identifying who spoke. But what we started doing more recently is incorporating the meeting link to the full video that's posted online into the meeting minutes, which I think we did that with the meeting minutes that are being proposed for approval tonight that you'll see. And so that, if somebody wanted to get detailed information, they can simply go to that link. It doesn't have to be captured in the written meeting minutes themselves. But we did talk to the county attorney's office, and some form of minimal meeting minutes should be provided for each meeting. Again, that just could capture, votes and action items to record those in writing in case technology fails or whatever, there's at least a record of the actions that were taken.
Yeah, Peter.
Yeah, no, Lauren volunteered. That's how it came about years ago. That's, it was just simple. She just volunteered and they let her do it.
Right.
That's all it was. Not that we wanted to step away from the county or anything.
Yeah, or it may have been that the county kind of wanted to step away from that role.
Oh, yeah, it could have been that way, but Lauren had just volunteered, that we're all fine by.
Yeah, we didn't have anybody and doing it,
So, yeah, so it wasn't that.
so she volunteered, yeah. So. We could, as if a need comes up for a written letter, what we did before Lauren too, if my memory serves me correctly, is we then would ask among the committee members who would want to write the letter. And I think in many instances before Lauren became official secretary, she did offer to write those letters. So we could do it on a case by case, when something comes up, and then amongst the committee members, assign somebody to write that letter or see who would be willing to write it. You know, and then proceed that way, because it doesn't come up that often.
Right.
It's a thought.
Yeah, but nonetheless, we'll need some recording of minutes. It seems like a minimal, what were the votes, who spoke? And
County can do that again.
and Peter's proposing that the county could do that again, which may need to be a stopgap measure, as I don't see a lot of hands getting raised to volunteer for that position.
I'd be open to considering, but I feel like I would be naive to volunteer right now. Second meeting, so maybe we can talk about it a little more.
You did come
Yeah,
with a
I think-
laptop.
Right there, that's a lot of qualification.
I think she's. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Summer, you
so
were-
I didn't catch who that person was, but but yeah, as a kind of interim, you know, I think county staff, if we can't get a nominee, county staff can prepare those meeting minutes, and like I said, they're a lot less than what has been done in the past, just because of the full meeting recordings that we have now. And at such time that, a letter needs to be drafted and sent, that the committee feels something needs to be drafted and sent to the county, could take volunteers from the committee to do it, on a case-by-case basis. And if there's we can check in again at some time in the future and see if anyone has a desire to take that on as well. So I think that's fine as well.
Okay, maybe we can revisit secretary nominations in the next meeting. And just for this meeting, though, we appreciate you recording the minutes. All right, so now we're on to number 5. This will be our first test of oral communications to allow the public to address the committee on any matter not on the agenda. If your subject is not on the agenda, the chair will recognize you at this time. Something that has come up a few times is discussion of the water company and Cloverdale Ranch and that actually, we do have that as a discussion item already on the agenda, just to point that out. Unfortunately, I don't think we have representatives from Post or Mid-Penn here this evening, but we are on number 5, oral communications. Is there anyone from the public who would like to address the committee? Doesn't look like we have anyone visiting. Yeah. Dante, go ahead.
yeah, hopefully it stays on the agenda each month. So if there's a chance that they come to the meeting, we can talk about it after hearing the way that it work here.
Yeah. Mm. Yes, Ron. And yeah, and I go ahead and practice stating your name, I guess.
Okay, I'll practice. Ron. Since we're on rules and regulations, I think that staff should consult, county council, and that I think last month's meeting did not comply with the Brown Act. In that, there was not a quorum. In that a quorum is constituted, of a majority of the membership of, the governing body. And that is 11, and 6 is the default, quorum. As well as the default, requirement for passing of any action item. It came up in 2004 when there was, boycott by a group of people that were on the committee that objected to the financial requirements under the Political Reform Act, and they left the committee without a working majority. And county council was consulted then, and we were informed that it required a majority of the voting members. Last month there were 5, we needed 6. Whatever occurred, whatever action was taken must be retaken as a consequence. But I would consult county and that. It requires an interpretation of the Brown Act.
Thanks, Ron.
Does someone want to respond to that?
I don't know, Summer, if you guys have a response to that. I do notice that because we have so many vacant positions, we certainly had a majority of sitting members, but it is true that we only had 5.
Yes, I can respond to that if you'd like. We have, previously, I think in 2000, I want to say 21 or 22, this came up as well, as we've had some vacancies on AAC for a while now. The county attorney's office was consulted to determine if it is okay to proceed with the meeting and not be in violation of the Brown Act with a majority of the filled seats on the AAC, because there was a period of time where I think we were down maybe 4 or 5 members, and it would be very difficult to get a quorum to hold a meeting. And the advice from our county attorney's office was that a quorum can constitute a majority of the seated members, so the positions that are filled, not the full membership, if there are unfilled seats. So that is the baseline that we're continue to work off of.
That's not what the Brown Act stated, and it's not the interpretation that was given to what the Brown Act states. 2004, it was I took the position that you do now, but a close reading of the Brown Act requires a majority of the membership of the committee, not the seated members, but the membership of the committee.
Well, we can certainly consult back with the county attorney's office. At the time, I think we had spoke to 2 different county attorneys to get that call made or advice, but we can certainly revisit. It's been a year or so and see if anything has changed and report back. Thanks.
Thank you, Summer. Anyone else from the public to comment at this time?
I think just if you're online and you'd like to speak and raise your hand, just to remember, you can press *9 to raise your hand.
Yeah, will we be able to see anyone?
I don't.
She promotes them up,
Okay.
there's one person in the
Hey,
room.
John?
Hi,
Hand up over here.
yeah,
Crystal Shay, where could we find an application to get on the board? Because I've gone online a few times and I thought I found it one time and it took me a whole other page, so I thought I'll just ask before I confuse myself.
great. Thank you for asking. I don't know myself, but Summer or Olivia, there are still vacant positions.
Are they recruiting right now?
This gentleman just said if I give him my email address, he'll actually send me the link. So
Okay, great.
I'll do it.
Oh, you're gonna do it there? Okay.
That works. The county boards and commissions website lists all of the various vacancies and has application forms and information as well. So you're welcome to email Olivia or myself. Olivia's contact information is on the agenda, tonight's agenda, and we can certainly send a link out to that website. I don't know, we're waiting to hear back from the Boards and Commissions office. We were having some discussions. We've been having some ongoing discussions about the outstanding vacancies and getting them filled, and the option of opening a new recruitment, or if they intend to pull from a list that's already been created from past recruitments. But if you can reach out, if you are interested, we can figure out how to get some information to you and let you know kind of what the latest is.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, then we'll move on to item number 6, committee member updates and/or questions to allow the committee members to share news or concerns for items not on the agenda. Usually we can count on Corin to have something to offer.
Yeah, I have something to offer. On county news, it's Welcoming Week, and this is an annual campaign and celebration to showcase the movement of communities striving to be more welcoming places for all, including immigrants here at the county. So there is a website dedicated to it, and you can, look that up, online under San Mateo County Welcoming Week. Let's see. The other thing I wanted to share with you is that COVID is coming back in the news again. I don't know if it ever left, but anyways, there's a lot of COVID test kits out there right now, and they're expiring fairly soon, if not already expired. But the FDA has authorized an extension of those test kits, and there is a website where you can find how long it's authorized for. So a lot of the test kits that we've been helping to give out and stuff, those ones are still valid through till the end of November. So if, for more information, you can find the extension of these test kits out there. And then let's see, stuff from one more thing from the county, or 2 more things. So there's a new San Mateo County health officer. Scott Morrow was the health officer for a very long time. And so now we have a new one, Dr. Kismet Baldwin Santana. And then West Nile virus was found in San Mateo County in a dead bird, is only been found in a dead bird right now. But mosquito and vector control has been going and putting out more traps, and they've been testing the mosquitoes, and so far they haven't found any mosquitoes in San Mateo County with it. However, Santa Clara County has it, and they've found mosquitoes with it. So just know that, you know, it's knocking on our door. And so be aware of that. And there is more information on West Nile virus symptoms too on the San Mateo County Health Department. I have been talking about it. We have our growers workshop scheduled for December 12th. It's at the Half Moon Bay Library. We're putting the agenda together, but there are some new requirements under the private applicator certification program. And so we've been trying to get the word out that some of those requirements are changing. So please feel free to call my office if you have questions about that. And that is all I have right now. Oh, sorry, wait, one more thing. So fruit flies is a big issue for ag departments. We set out traps, and these are the larger fruit flies like the Mediterranean fruit fly. And so we set traps for those. Unfortunately, throughout the state, there have been a number of fruit fly finds this year, like triple a normal number of flies. In fact, Santa Clara County has a quarantine. So once you find a certain amount of flies, that triggers a quarantine in a county. And then what happens in that quarantine area, there's a lot of restrictions on produce and fruit and stuff like that. So and then they have to treat people's yards, and it starts a whole big protocol. And a lot of times the ag, industry gets affected by it. And so we obviously really don't want that to happen here. And again, I just kind of want people to be aware, that these fruit flies are popping up, unfortunately, and we're not quite sure why. We did see them decrease, to zero during COVID. And so it's obviously air travel is part of that equation. And so we also suspect that a lot of these are coming from illegal produce, likely sourced on the internet as well. And so those aren't going through the normal channels of inspection that other ag departments like myself participate in. So Santa Clara has a quarantine right now, so produce can't move in and out of that unless it's meets certain mitigation requirements. And then Contra Costa County also has a quarantine as well. And they're finding a significant number of flies, showing that there's likely a population that's reproducing. So
How long is the quarantine?
it just depends on how long they find flies. So if they keep finding flies, that then the quarantine will keep going. And so typically, I don't know if maybe some of you remember, we did have medfly in 2017, and it's so normally producers in that quarantine area have to go under a compliance agreement with the ag department. People that are selling produce need to have it under a net, and there's lots of requirements. So just I don't want to freak anyone out, but it's definitely something we need to keep our eyes open for. And so.
Right. And as far as for example, we go to the farmer's market in Palo Alto, which is in Santa Clara County.
Okay.
Are we allowed to do that?
So
Hope so.
likely, there might be some restrictions if it's in that quarantine zone. So I don't think Palo Alto is. It's
Okay.
more on the east side of Santa Clara County.
Okay.
Don't quote me exactly on that. I haven't looked at the exact map, but usually it's there's a 5-mile quarantine area around where they found the fly.
Gotcha.
And then it increases as they find more flies in different traps.
Gotcha.
What area of San Mateo County did they find the West Nile?
Oh, the dead bird. They found a dead bird.
A dead
So
bird.
I think in I don't know for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so far they haven't found any more though, as far as I looked last week and they hadn't found any. Since
How
then.
long ago did they find the bird?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, okay.
Okay, so. and-
Sorry,
If there's,
before you, go ahead, Olivia.
if there, I wanted to make sure that there was no other items from, on the committee side in the room. Under this item, I wanted to give, Dr. Igor Lakan, a few minutes to introduce himself, and then there's one more person, I'll have them do that if they're in the room, but go ahead, if Dr. Lakan would like to speak.
Hello. Igor Lachin, many of you have had the misfortune of having me here before. For those who I don't know below, I'm the county director for the UC Cooperative Extension in San Mateo, San Francisco counties. Our office is at Elkis Ranch. And coincidentally, we're having our open house this weekend. So if you have children, most of them are children, but you know, they're adults. So I will pass the flyers around. There's a little code, scan with your phone, register, come one, come all, but you do have to register. So aside from Elkis Ranch, which is a program of Cooperative Extension, which is primarily intended for school children, we see between 7,000 and 9,000 kids per year on organized school field trips. They'll learn about farming, environmental science, composting, waste management, in context, in the beautiful coastal context. Aside from that, we have several Cooperative Extension advisors like myself who provide specific services to more specific clientele. So I work with people who manage trees. We have Carolyn Weitzel who works with people who manage, well, not quite mountain lions, but things that mountain lions like to eat. So ranchers, I think a number of you have met Carolyn. Then we have our nutrition advisor, Laura Bolmer, who works with federally funded nutrition education programs. So if you're a recipient of one of the federally funded nutrition assistance programs, there is an education program that goes with it. And then we have Sally, our youth development.
We were trying to give them some light. It might be.
But that wakes up the gallery. And yes, Sally is our youth development advisor. She also oversees the 4-H program. So they all will be there on Saturday if you'd like to come meet them, as well as some of the people who are in other counties who serve our counties. For example, Dr. Andrew Sutherland, who works on indoor and structural pests. He'll be there with his usual cockroaches and bed bugs. I think that's about it. We run a number of community-based programs. So I mentioned 4-H, youth development program. We run the Master Gardener program. We run that.
Well, he is.
And the Master Food Preserver program.
I think.
We teach people how to not get poisoned by their own jams, jellies, etc. So, I have business cards if anybody's interested. And yeah, I'd love to meet you all, whoever I have not met. We do have a gigantic network of UC people, so whatever capacity we don't have locally, I can find it for you. So if you've got Brussels sprout problems, I know nothing about Brussels sprouts, but I know people who know everything about Brussels sprouts. So let me know and we'll figure it out.
I've been growing them for 65 years, so I know a little bit about it.
I know nothing. I know, but I will find you the right people.
Yeah, I'll get one.
Questions?
Did you, what time is you're saying on Saturday, there's a,
10 to 2, but you have to register. There's a little thing going around with a little QR code. You
okay,
gotta register on the QR code. 10
gotcha,
to
the
2.
open house, gotcha, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Olivia.
And then I think, before, Olivia, we did have another hand up from a committee member, Peter was, Peter, did you have something that, before,
I just
You
want
go
to
ahead.
make a statement. Sunday, Highway 1 was closed. It was posted between 7 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon. And I went through at 11 and it was for a special event.
I didn't see no special event, I don't know what it was for, but I did know it killed a lot of business because the Highway 1 was there wasn't hardly any traffic for a weekend at all. And and it seems like they're closing Highway 1 more and more for special events for the other people of the hill without much regard for the businesses and the people on this side of it.
There's the Ironman race. I didn't hear anything about it either.
Yeah, they must have been way ahead when I passed by, I don't know.
Yeah.
What's the criteria for closing a major highway like that or thoroughfare? Anyway, what is the criteria and how is it that they get that approved? Would be my
If it's
question.
Highway 1, it might not, it's
It
probably,
would be
Oh,
through Caltrans. It's through Caltrans. Yeah, I mean, the county doesn't have any local jurisdiction over Highway 1 itself. It would be Caltrans. So assumedly they're getting whatever clearances from Caltrans that they need.
I'm just wondering if there's an avenue that committee members or anybody of the public who has concern about it affecting their business, agriculture or not, could write to, if you guys happen to know or could find out perhaps.
We could find a contact to Caltrans. What division does that kind of permitting that runs through.
Thanks, Summer.
John, I have one quick thing.
Yes.
Just wanted to clarify, I made some comments last week about some struggles I had with tube houses. Wanted to clarify that that wasn't meant to be a criticism of either the RCD or the county, but really just illustrate some of the challenges that farmers have with those kind of projects.
Yeah, and I just wanted to announce again, as I am the AAC member who's on the Farm Worker Advisory Commission, just to announce that there is a meeting coming up this Wednesday at the library at 7 p.m. And so there seem to be pretty well attended and managed meetings. So I encourage you guys to come. And one thing that they had done in the previous meeting was kind of create small group subcommittees that are focused on, and I don't know that anyone's come up with any solutions because these are all big problems, but or big issues and opportunities, but the members of the committee were interested in looking into outreach and education as one thing that can serve farm workers, access to affordable quality healthcare, and then affordable housing development were the three kind of sub topics that there'll be some presentation on those topics, as well as probably some other things coming up this meeting.
When's the meeting? I didn't.
7 to 8:30, I think, on Wednesday, and it's in the nice kind of meeting room that they have at the public library.
And that'll be in
Thanks.
Spanish as well.
It is done, it's conducted in Spanish as the first language with translation services, but I mean, there are a lot of English speaking participants, so it's kind of you can sort of understand what's going on in either language.
And it's just the first language?
It is for this meeting, yeah. So
they
that's
give
the
you a
intention,
headset.
yeah, but yeah, there's plenty of people who speak just in English, and then they get translated into Spanish for the Spanish speakers.
And is there a place to go to see like what the agenda is gonna be and all that ahead of time, or?
Yeah,
It's
imagine
on
it's
the,
posted somewhere.
it's posted on the county's website.
Okay,
If you search like Farm Worker Advisory Commission,
okay,
you'll get to the agenda.
thanks. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's kind of where the ag advisory, well, I'm not sure actually.
Kind of
I
in the
think they're
same-
all in the same. I'm not sure. I was like, it's ag advisory might be under planning.
Yeah, that's great that you're the liaison and you do that. For John. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, Paul?
Small thing, just to add to the concern with the event, I remember on Sunday, that you mentioned as well, because I know another farmer down in our area, mentioned that he had, an emergency veterinary care for one of his animals. He was told by folks from the event that he wasn't able to drive out to access it or have a veterinarian come in. So it might be a good idea to have, somebody, an organization for folks who are on the county, have permits to be able to go in and out for, at the very minimum, emergency situation.
That would fall under what you discussed at that one meeting, right? Like
the
the fire,
ag
like when the
ID.
fires, the ag ID.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The ag ID wouldn't cover that, but,
Yeah, but maybe there should be
but
something.
yeah, I
Should
guess
be
I could
something.
see how that has some parallels.
How long were they, was the road closed for, 3 months?
7 to 1.
Yeah, under one, all right. Yeah.
But in sections, because they told me they weren't gonna close it all the way.
Yeah, I didn't notice that we didn't do the ranch that day, from where I know, I didn't see much traffic going on till at least about 11. I know the farmer that who mentioned he had an issue with his animal. I don't know how long he was late for, but I know it was a couple hours at least. So, yeah.
And Olivia, I think you had mentioned maybe there was another introduction you wanted to make before we moved on to the minutes.
Yes, thank you. So the second person, she had contacted us, Eliza Milio, on the topic is actually, she's wanting to touch on a food hub for San Mateo County. I don't know. She decided though that, with last minute coordination and scheduling, they will do a presentation, which actually is number 10, but I wanted to introduce her, if she's present. I don't know if she came to the meeting.
He is not
Okay,
present.
that's okay. So just, I was gonna have her introduce herself, but she actually turned out, as of this morning, she had let us know that she will be present with a team in October. So we will just defer that to October. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so number 7, consideration of minutes for March 13th, 2023, June 12th, 2023, and July 10th, 2023 AAC meetings. And I did notice that they aren't super long to read through. Did anyone get a chance to check them out?
Yeah, I read through.
I didn't get them back.
Yeah, I would move to accept them. So,
All right, we have a motion to accept them as presented. And yeah, you weren't at any of these meetings.
That was the last one.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think we have minutes actually for the August one, but
it's for the July.
I will second the motion to approve the minutes as presented. Shall we take a roll call vote on all 3 of them at once, or do you guys want to break them up?
I'm fine with them all at once.
Okay,
Oh, hold on a minute. I was, March is on there and I don't know, I was accepting July's. And I
okay,
don't, and if you're including March, I was not at the March meeting. so
okay,
I was only accepting July's.
okay.
You wanna, do it one at a time? for that
Yeah,
reason?
let's go ahead and do it one at a time. I'll make a motion to accept March 13th, 2023 action minutes as written. Lauren will second that.
Peter, Brian, James, you guys go on March.
The battery's running low.
Jonathan, Daniel,
I'm like,
Yes.
never
I
mind.
know. I'm realizing, I guess.
It's a bad technology day. Oh, this is my charger, a USB C. I'm guessing. Maybe yours.
So you're
doesn't
looking for
have
a second?
that.
I'm looking for a second on March 13th, 2023.
I'll second that.
Yeah, you were at the meeting, so looks pretty well written here. Okay, so I'll take a roll call vote on accepting the meetings for March 13th. James Oku,
Yes.
Natalie Sayre,
I wasn't here, abstain.
I will, I vote yes. Peter,
Abstain.
Ryan,
Yes.
Jonathan,
Abstain as well.
and I go ahead and Daniel,
That's the UBC. Wasn't there.
okay, Cole wasn't there. We've got a lot of abstentions, so we'll mark that down as two yeses and six
Yes.
abstentions, is that correct?
I think it's this person.
And then you can proceed with the vote for the July one
You
then,
can,
right?
okay.
Yeah,
I think for the record, that was three yeses and then I think
Thank you.
4 abstentions.
We have none of
Thanks.
them.
Yeah, for you.
You're right.
So, before the board is the action minutes for Monday, June 12th, 2023. I will make a motion to accept them as written. I second that motion. Okay, James?
Yes.
Natalie?
Yeah.
I vote yes. Peter? Brian?
Yes.
Cole? Jonathan? And Daniel? Okay. Yeah, a little bit higher acceptance rate on that one. And then the one that Natalie's in favor. No, I will also make a motion to accept. You want to second that, Natalie?
I'll
For
second that.
July 10th.
I'll second that.
James?
Yeah.
Natalie?
Yeah.
I will accept. Peter? Ryan?
Yes.
Cole? Jonathan? And Daniel? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, did you hear that, County? I think Peter is hoping to receive a packet by mail, as opposed to email. So
He arranged to do it and
I was getting it for a while and then it stopped.
Did the package not get delivered this time? For
it
today's
didn't.
meeting? Can you hear me?
It didn't get delivered this time.
It
It
did
was
not.
FedExed out so we can track it and see what happened to it.
Okay, yeah.
Thanks. Sorry about that.
Don, make a point of order. Don,
the chair recognizes you, Ron.
yeah, ordinarily the chair doesn't make a motion. The chair has to make a motion other than this one.
Okay, thank you. So having trouble getting motions, jumped in. let's,
If I may make a comment, people who are here, they might want to go through the attendance record. It sounds like there's some mistakes. So people, if they look at their line, they might let the county know if they not. So that's incorrect. Yeah.
I think he got put into Lauren's spot.
Yeah.
That might help actually.
Yeah.
Like block out
Right.
like Cole's and
Right.
Daniel's.
Yeah.
Who,
Yeah.
who writes up who's here and who's not here? Is that the county? Or is
Yeah,
that-
on the roll call or the roster sheet, we did leave, we can take them off, but we did,
Yeah.
oh, sorry. Hello?
We had to unplug the owl because the battery was going low on the laptop.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. On the roster sheet or roll call sheet, I don't know what it's called, roll call sheet, attached to the agenda. So we provide that as the county does, and we did leave for positions where people vacated, we did leave their attendance record just to have the record of that seat, someone in that seat having been in attendance at those meetings, but we can certainly wipe them clean if the committee thinks it would be, you know, cleaner. And it was just to reflect that there were people in those capacities in the past, but we can keep a separate record of that too, and wipe those off starting next month.
Attendance,
The one we're concerned about is for Daniel, who's
Mhm.
showing up as speaker for a bunch of the meetings.
oh, and he wasn't actually a committee member yet.
Yeah.
And so maybe.
Yeah, we can wipe, yeah, so we can clear those, we can clear those off. And it's different between Cole and Daniel because Cole took a position that had been vacant for a long time. So that's why the difference there, but we can certainly clear those out for the next agenda and go by the person instead of the seat.
I think that would be more clear.
Yeah, thanks for the feedback.
Okay. So item number 8 is the Community Development Director's Report.
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting to
Unfortunately, we're not hearing you very, I could spot back clearly, but
can you hear me a little bit? Can you hear me at all?
Yes.
Okay, so
You can.
you need me to speak loudly? That so we've got one PAD permit that was listed as item A that was approved for Planning Commission on August 23rd, and the appeal period ended September 7th. For incoming PAD permits, there were none received. For coastal development exemptions, there were 4 received. And they're listed in the grid. Other than that, there's no other projects that we have received for this time period. And I know that Summer spoke that had already mentioned the vacancy updates that we are those are in the works. And for the last item under additional announcements, the next meeting is the 3rd Monday of October due to the Columbus Indigenous Peoples' Day holiday.
Okay, thank you, Olivia. And then I think that we have number 9. I think we were hoping that someone from Post or the Midpen would be here, but as number 9, we have a discussion on the status of Peninsula Open Space Trust parcels excluded from wildlife conservation easements that are associated with the Lake Lucerne Mutual Water Company. And we did receive at least a written response from Peninsula Open Space Trust. in the full packet, so I don't know if there's the committee or be happy to hear from members of the public at this time to discuss this item, or do we want to just leave it on there for the future?
No, we should discuss the Joe's had a question.
Yeah, Joe?
Yeah, we're supposed to have a meeting tomorrow night.
I'm sorry, could you please state your full name for the record? Sorry.
Joe Music.
Thank you.
We're supposed to be having a meeting tomorrow night with Post and Midpen. Hope that they show up. And then this water neutral company that we're gonna be discussing all this. It's gonna be hard on them. I don't know what they wanna do with it. There's at least other 12 or 14 owners of this system, of this water company. And it has to be divided up, talked about how they wanna do it. At this point, we don't know what they're gonna come up with. We'll find out after a couple of meetings, I guess, but that's where it's at.
Who's having the meeting, the owners, you guys, the owners of the parcel and with them?
All the different parcels,
With them,
Well,
okay. To this
shareholders.
shareholders,
yeah.
okay.
They're, I hope they all show up.
Go ahead, James.
Who facilitated the meeting? Did it start from the shareholders or did it start from post midpen?
Well, once they made the sale, they wanna get this thing straightened out before the sale goes through of this last parcel they wanna buy. Well, until that gets all straightened out with the water rights and so on, I guess that's what they're holding this thing up for them.
Is this the second meeting that they have where, we're going to speak to this committee and that they did not? And if so, is there a reason, or do we know a reason why that's a pattern that's occurring?
Well, I think they were invited to speak, but they weren't necessarily, they had never volunteered to speak. And I was able to get in touch with someone from Post and someone from Midpen, and the kind of what I heard back was like, this is a private transaction in which we need to negotiate with the owners of the shares before we are able to make information public. So they felt as though they didn't actually have anything to report.
Okay, thank you for that.
Go, I know Carrie had her hand up, but
Carrie Berg, and I know that Coast and Midpen have a lot of agricultural policies and they have a lot of public relations regarding agriculture. And it would be nice if they could come to our meeting and provide some information. I do understand if there's a sale pending, but some of this information is previous history. It's not something that I think it was to understand how this happened in the past. So perhaps it could inform decisions in the future. And so it's, and there was a very brief memo. It would be interesting since it was state money that perhaps we could see the appraisal or have a little bit more information, on that acquisition in the past. But, we just, I think, just as a community member just listening to this, I would just hope that there would be just more, with all the efforts that are made to support ag, that they would also, I think that there could be a little bit more information forthcoming on this important topic, and I hope that the meeting tomorrow night is fruitful. Yeah, thank you.
John?
BJ?
BJ Burns. I think it was probably either 3 or 4 meetings ago, I was here, and they were supposed to be here, Midpen and Post, to take input. And they didn't show up, but they said they wanted the input, if I remember correctly, they wanted the people to give input, and I think quite a few people gave input. And they said they were gonna come to the next meeting and answer the questions. So they did say they were gonna come here. And again, they didn't show up, and now again tonight, they don't come, so. But they did commit to coming here to explain the situation to the public.
Peter? Sorry, Dante.
Yeah, Dante Silvestri, you heard all my questions and I see they answered a few of them and other questions as well. But besides the sale of Livingston and other company in the ship, we also talked about, the Cloverdale properties and how it would have been nice if they would have wrote in utility easements if that water was to be sold to other farms for new water rights. Because basically 20 some odd years ago, when Post purchased the coastal properties, they did this WCB easement, which restricts those properties from being farmed. And those are the shares that they're going to, I guess, discuss at the meeting that Mid-Penn, we heard right here from Mid-Penn that they don't want the public agency, whatever, they don't want to be part of the system. And whatever they do with these shares, retire them, we're hoping they can sell them to other farmers. But my concern is they were a little too quick 20 years ago to put that WCB easement on that property. And it obviously wasn't a good fit because I don't believe they've done it on any of the other parcels out there. But yet right alongside you have farm ground and now they want affirmative farming easements. So these parcel lines really don't change the soil. So it was a mistake. I'm sure they admitted it later. But we did hear from Mid-Penn that those lands could be grazed, which take into consideration the food safety stuff, and when they come up with a grazing plan someday. But I wouldn't be too quick to retire those water shares because it's a difficult site to find water. And all of a sudden you're gonna have all this grazing grasses up there and lands, and you're not gonna have any water. So they might need to save some of those shares, if nothing else, for stock water. Not a whole lot, but just let's slow down here. This thing is just moving so fast. We have our concerns. We all care about ag. We're hoping they will just come into the room. They cherry picked a few of these questions, they great, but please, just come into the room and meet with us and talk to us. Thank you.
Peter? Yeah. I was at a PMAC meeting when they did and first of all, Peter Markey. Okay. When they did MRC did a presentation of Cloverdale Ranch and all this here, and they said that they didn't want to discuss the water only with privately with the shareholders. And I stated that they could discuss generality stuff. And I'm a shareholder, it doesn't necessarily with their plans necessarily doesn't have to discuss specifics with individual shareholders, and they can do that and they should do that. So I stated that on a public meeting that they can as a shareholder discuss it publicly, which they chose not to. And then I was informed later on that they're having this private meeting just with the shareholders hostess.
Right, but you're invited to that meeting, right?
I am.
Okay.
I think they could have, Tim could have discussed publicly because it is a big part of history of agriculture and the South Coast.
Yeah. Joe?
I just want to say, it's, goes back quite a few years. That water system there was 4 owners. Today, a lot of those properties been divided and sold to other people. So you have probably 12, 14 different owners on this water rights thing. And I think it's gonna be complicated for them to solve the problem. So I don't know what they're gonna do with it. Because way back when there was music, Glass was there. Music, Campanati, Glad. Really can't think of anybody else. And as the years went by, a lot of it was sold and divided up in different parcels. So now you have different owners that bought into this system here. And like I said, I don't know what they're gonna do with it or how they're gonna handle this problem, but it's gonna be tough to straighten out.
Pardini was in there too with the dragon.
Well, it was, that was Pardini, but it was state property, yeah. That was another, well, that was. Yeah. But it's,
I think it sounds like, John, it's okay if I say something.
Yeah, please.
I think that it sounds, to be a fair statement, please tell me if I'm incorrect, that this is in effect something that, while it's good, obviously, that you guys are having the meeting with them, but also too, it's something that affects agriculture and they should have held to their commitment and attended our meeting and should do so in the future. Is that correct? Okay,
There's
and
a
I,
public interest.
exactly, and in this area, in agriculture, and I think that's important. While it is something happening with a private entity, it is something that is of public interest in our area. So I would like to go on the record saying that as well.
John.
Yes.
Yeah, I even asked at this meeting if I could bring a guest, and they said, no, I couldn't. So I couldn't even bring a guest.
What do you mean?
I
Well,
couldn't.
it will eventually go to the public, I think,
Gonna bring-
or in other words, more people will be there on the following meeting.
Right.
One comment, John.
Yes.
I think, all due respect to the public, I think it's better that they tell the shareholders before they come to the public that they're gonna do that, because the shareholders should know first before the rest of us know what's going on, I think.
Well-
And then come to.
That's true, but they should have told us why. I appreciate, John, that you reached out and you got the answer as to why they weren't coming yet here. But it would have been nice if, since we as a committee asked them to come, if they then would have responded to the committee and told us the reason and the truth of it as they told you, John. So I think that would have been appropriate.
Yeah, and particularly as this committee tries to encourage agriculture on the coast, and this has a huge influence. This water company, makes a big difference on whether or not we can farm on the coast. But it does sound, Joe, like there's stuff to work out that maybe is best worked out, not maybe with that, everybody
It's gonna take
listening
a
in.
meeting before it gets so
Yeah.
much straightened out, and I'm sure it will come to the committee someday.
Okay. Yeah, Dante, please.
Another quick thing, the new fire station that's gonna be built at the high school, the coastal commission is requiring that the mitigation that they find trade-off property, because they're taking some lands out of ag. So I would hopefully think that Post or Mid-Penn would work with the county. And maybe one of those 3 parcels up top there, I know, there's concerns what that soil is, whether it's prime or it's not, but it's been fallow for so many years and really, dig a trench to boring, soil analysis, and now these days, the way you're building up soils and composting, I mean, who knows what you can grow there, but I want to make sure you guys are aware of that the coastal commission is requiring, mitigation property to build the fire station at the high school site.
They're still requiring that mitigation?
Last I heard, yes.
Okay.
Summer actually was probably.
Summer, didn't they take that, they took that off our agenda and put it, they changed the zoning or something of the area. And that was a big deal. So is it correct that they're still requiring, I think it's great if they are requiring the mitigation, but I just was concerned when I saw they changed the zoning, which was mind blowing, but I just want to know, how is it, is that true that they're still requiring their mitigation? If so, that's very good.
I would have to look into that and get back to you. I just am not super familiar with what the outcome of that was. I know when they came to the Ag Advisory Committee, was it maybe about a year or so ago, to discuss the LCP amendment, that, there was a requirement from the Coastal Commission to do a mitigation site, an offsite mitigation location. I'm not aware that requirement changed any, but we can certainly look into it and give you an update
That would
on that and what the status is.
Land, no matter what it's zoned for, it's still the same piece of land. So it should be required to mitigate it, but I thought that was part of the reason that they changed the zoning, so.
Zoning doesn't change soil.
Right.
It was
exactly.
part of the zone, well, what it was, I believe, it was part of the zone change was that they had to do the mitigation was, part of the mitigation was that they had to designate another site to be ag if they were taking this out of ag. But like I said, I'm not the expert on the details of that project at the moment, so we'll definitely check into it and we can report back.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion about number 9 related to the Cloverdale Ranch and the water company at this time? Hopefully, I think it is something that we'd like to at least keep on the agenda summer as a placeholder, and hopefully as more information becomes appropriate to share with the public, we can get information and share our input with Mid-Penn and Post. And then it seems as though number 10 is going to have to be pushed until next month. The presentation on the efforts to establish a food hub for San Mateo County to keep us informed on what's going on there. The new egg ombudsman was going to come, Eliza Milio, and we will look forward to hearing from her and perhaps some other members of the team next meeting. The last item on the agenda is number 11. This is a consent agenda. This has to do with an ag tourism event permit that we have approved in the past. But I think I should go ahead and read it into the record. And then we can vote on it unless someone wants to take it off of the consent agenda. We can just vote for it with ayes or nays rather than doing a roll call vote. But this is the owner is Dolores Tognera. Applicant is David Repetto. File number PLN 2023-00249. Location 1233-1 San Mateo Road, Half Moon Bay, unincorporated. APN is 056-321-020. Consideration of an ag tourism event beginning on October 1st, 2023 and ending October 31st, 2023. Located at 12331 San Mateo Road in unincorporated Half Moon Bay, Repetto's Pumpkins. No operational changes are proposed from last season. Please direct any questions to project planner Tiare Pena at tpena@smcgov.org. And there is an action request that the AAC recommend approval for the agritourism event permit.
Make a motion.
Okay, I think a roll call vote's just as fast as the calling ayes and nays. We have a motion to pass it and a second. James Oku.
Yes.
Natalie Sayre.
Yes.
I vote yes. Peter Markey.
Yeah.
Ryan Casey.
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
Jonathan Winslow.
Yes.
And Daniel.
Yes.
All right. And
Tara Bars, I'm sorry, can you repeat who made the motion and who seconded that?
yeah,
Peter Markey made the motion.
And I second that.
By Cole.
Cole, okay, thank you.
Your name, yeah.
It's long.
No, it's just.
I feel like I want to pass it.
okay, we made it through there. I think we can adjourn, I will adjourn the meeting. Okay. And we did it before it's 9.
Yeah, I didn't even know we started late. I was
Yeah, I think
And
yeah.
Okay, so.
you didn't die.
Made it.
Are you?
Barely. I'm gonna stay around it. Get well versed at the system. They made a couple of changes and
Okay.
then they had network outages. That was whammy. So yeah, I mean, when I started out, I do have interest in being the secretary. There is a chance that I have to go like sometime mid next year.
Okay.
Go to Virginia, like all my students created out there.
Okay.
I'm trying to find work. Here?
Yeah.
So this is, no, this is my grad program.
Okay.
Work for a company called Plenty, and that's building a huge.
Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Must be English.
Okay.
Right now, I'm being in
Yeah.
February next year.
Are you actually going in some?
Yeah,
or are you
yeah.
getting- Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going right now. It's like a type farm. Yeah, it's really like high tech scenario. My company's I'll let her know. Vertical, I've been doing it for about 2 years now.
How many flats per square foot?
Oh, yeah, it's like. We're at like 150 grams per meter square per day produced, is the metric they're running.
Okay.
A target of going up to like 300
Per
grams.
what unit?
Yeah, that's grams per meter squared per day.
Per meter square.
Per day.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like weird metric. Basically, like, we're getting like about a kilo per plant